Well, this time was coming out,
You knew this time was coming, girl.
Yeah,
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it is May 23rd, 2024. Welcome to the Two Sisters and a Brother, the Relationship Podcast. So we'll start out with our normal check-in. Andrea, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. Thank you for asking, Dr. Williams.
Mhm. Seems like something is
Thank
wrong
you.
with your neck tonight.
hmm
And we're squinting because our neck
It's
hurts?
fashionable. It's like smizing,
Hmm,
smiling
okay.
with your eyes.
Oh,
hmm These are me throwing daggers with my eyes.
yeah,
Oh,
right.
oh, you lifting your eyebrows off.
All righty. All right, Cheryl Lynn Lee, how are you doing?
I'm doing well, Dr. Williams. Thank you so much for asking.
Very
Just, taking one day at a time.
Cheryl, the beautiful part is that's how it comes.
Yes, one day at a time, and I'm right on
Exactly.
it.
Going with the flow. So
Mhm.
those guests that who may want to join us in our conversation, please feel free to hit on that link and we can have you join, or if you want to chat and say you have something, or you can raise your hand. You can do a multitude of things to let us know you'd like to join the conversation. So I think that we wanted to post something for discussion tonight, and it
Mhm.
was, hold on a second, it was relationships. Do they get a do-over or a makeover?
Mhm.
That's what we
Mm.
wanted to talk about tonight. Is a do-over or a makeover? And
Good
so,
question.
yeah, so Andre,
Mhm.
if you don't mind, why don't you lead that conversation as to what is the difference between the two and what are your thoughts about do-overs and makeovers? And then Cheryl, you can share your thoughts.
Thank
So
you.
I think the difference, you want to put up that slide again?
Okay.
Do over or makeover. So I think if you're in a relationship with someone, or if you were in a prior relationship with someone, and you're going through maybe some troubling times, sometime you may request to say, you know what, let's just do over again. I forgive you for everything you've done to me, and I hope the same for you. Um, and you forgive me, and so let's just do it over. But other times you may say, you know what, I can't move forward. I'm having a hard time moving forward. You've done some things to me that I'm not able to accept, but I will forgive you. So I think more or less that would be a makeover. I think a do-over, starting fresh, clean slate. I'm not holding nothing against you, but I believe a makeover is like, I'm still going to remember some of the stuff you did to me, but let's see where we can move forward from here. So I
But, can,
think
but I think it begs the question, Andre, can you ever really do a do-over?
it depends on the person and the situation. How important is this relationship to you? And also if you're willing to move past some of the things that has happened to you. But I think it's going to really depend on that relationship. If it's an important relationship for you, then you will try to, maybe let's start a clean slate. Let's just do it over. I'm sorry for what you've done to me. And it could be with a child, it could be with a family member, it could be a coworker.
Sure.
So
But
it's a
again, I
number.
think understanding how the brain works, I just think that, how do you erase what you know?
I think you can. If you want to forgive a person, you can erase what you know.
Well, do you erase it or you just put it in a different perspective? You just realign it. But it's not like you can erase it.
Yeah, well,
It's
me, I don't erase. I don't erase. My stuff is right here. I
Right.
may have I may have like something covering it like this,
Hmm.
but I don't erase my stuff. Some people do erase their stuff. So
do
they've
they do
reached
you
that point.
have you ever seen someone truly erase a circumstance at
Yes.
work, at home, with their
Yes.
children?
Yes.
Give me
A really
give me
bad situation. They erased it and said, I'm not stressing
give
that
me
anymore.
give me an example of where you've seen a total erasure of
I've known people who have been in like maybe a domestic violence situation, and they forgave the person and they gave
well,
him a clean slate.
Yeah, but the minute that person raises their hand, you're gonna see them duck.
That might be
Oh,
that might be a little different, but you know what? You punched me in the eye and I punched you back, so we good.
I
Long
don't
as it's
really
Cheryl,
believe in the I
Cheryl,
don't believe in the erasing of something, but I do believe that um it's an
Hmm.
experience that I've went through and I've learned from it. However, I'm not gonna erase it fully. I don't see myself erasing it fully because I'm gonna see if that comes up again. I'm going to
mm,
see if that comes up again. So I won't erase it fully, but I can start over. I can start over on a clean slate. I can
mm.
do that, but I need my partner to also be ready to do that as well. Because I could be ready to start over and the other person won't be ready to start over. So the old behaviors will still be practiced and they're not looking forward to doing anything different. And the clean slate thing, it does not always work. It
Have you
does
ever
not. Well,
have you ever seen it work?
not that I know of. Not that I know of. I'm just saying my personal life. I tried the clean slate. Let's start fresh. Let's start over. You know how I feel. I know how you feel. But they still fell off. They
Well,
still fell off.
okay, I think I want to use an example that I feel that at least Andrea can
Don't
relate.
start your don't start too damn
I
early.
want to, I want, I want to use a buffet. Um,
Yeah, exactly. And I'm still waiting for my pancakes.
Mhm.
it's almost like, can you go back to the buffet with a dirty plate? They want you to
Oh,
go back. You have to go back with a clean plate. And I
mm.
think we want to think a relationship is any different than a buffet. Every time you go, you need to understand you're going to, go with a clean plate and start over again. But
It's
it's
the
still
same damn food.
it's right, the same buffet.
It's the same
Same
buffet.
buffet.
It's the same damn Chinese chicken wings.
With the
It's the
little hair
same.
sticking out.
Yes, it's the same. So yeah, we may go back with this clean plate, and I like that metaphor. Hands up to you. Yeah, very good, Dr. Williams.
Very
Very
good.
good. Very
Well, I
good.
also know Nitsa she calls it a buffet, so she really takes
Buffet.
yes.
Buffet.
And she was one day talking to me like, "Oh, can we go to the buffet?" I'm like, what the hell is a buffet?" When she spelled it for me, I understood what she was trying to say. It was just maybe her Spanish, but I don't. Spanish doesn't normally sound like buffet. I don't.
Buffeta.
Buffeta. That's how you say that?
No,
No.
I
Oh,
don't know
it sounds like it would be that though.
Nisa, you have to let us know if we're saying it correctly. It's a buffeta.
exactly. She has a whole different language for it. She becomes a whole different person at a buffet. She really
Mhm.
different person.
Enjoys it?
Oh my God, yeah, it's something special. So
Mhm.
someone took her chicken wings, if you know what I mean. So that's
Oh.
Mhm.
so the question is, if we know this, how should we behave differently? If we understand you really can't, get a real clean plate, it's so what do
I,
you do differently if you know that?
I
As
think
we
you just have to just find a way to like forgive a person if that's what the goal is.
But I
You
guess
know,
I'm asking you to go back a little further is how can we stop having the need for forgivable behavior?
Well, everybody is in control of their own behavior. So you have to, be mindful and, when you see things have went wrong in a relationship and you played a part in it, you just have to be mindful to change that behavior. See, anybody could change. However, that's if they want to change.
Well,
If
I
they
think
don't want to continue to go through the same things over and over again.
yeah, I think also it has to do with the commitment that you say, you know what, I don't want to have to use excuses in this relationship. I was
Mm.
watching I was watching a parole hearing, and this guy was up for parole, and he had molested a child. Now he was 36, the child was 2, and he was saying to the parole panel that his girlfriend used to have her child who was 2 years old. She would walk around the house with no clothes on. almost like it was the girlfriend's fault that he molested the child because she was at 2 years old walking around with no clothing on. But the reality is he was just beginning to give excuse after excuse after excuse. And I think often in our relationships, the excuses allow the deviation. They allow for the deviant behavior. Is when you start making excuses, that's it's a very slippery slope. So I think I've heard people say that the term, I want to be in a relationship where I don't have to say I'm sorry. I also think you want to be in a relationship where you don't have to have excuses, that you understand once we start that, we're going to a place where it's not going to be good for us. So I think there's
Yes,
some,
'cause-
get us,
mhm.
Cheryl.
Yeah,
Get
because
Cheryl.
you're not being accountable when you make excuses for things over and over again. You're not evaluating what you've done, and you're not showing any accountability. And that's important to do so that you can do better.
Mhm.
You have to be accountable for your actions, no matter what they are, because
Yeah.
you are in charge of what you do. Yes, God is over us and he keeps us and all that, but we still have the will to behave the way we want to behave, to say the things that we want to say. So we always have to be mindful of that, considering someone else's feelings other than yourself.
And that's sometimes hard to do.
Mhm.
Because again, we've gone through, as Andrea likes to talk about, is we've gone through a lot of our own trauma, and some of that
Mhm.
messes up the way we think and behave and interact with other people because we're going through our own stuff, and then we have another person that we're with, whether it's, as Andrea said, a colleague, a family member, that they're going through their stuff, and so you bring them
Mhm.
together. It can be truly a hot mess. But I think it really the what it requires us to be is a lot more intentional. That I think all
Mhm.
just like wing it, and we just are very nonchalant. And I think really, if you want to make it work, you're going to have to be a little bit more deliberate. You have to have a plan.
Mhm.
Yeah, and people like,
Really good.
is there any downtime? Not in a relationship that's really important to you. I don't
Mhm.
downtime in a relationship that's really important. You're going to have to, be focused and on program. And I think there's no rest for the weary.
Mm.
Um, I think that's, people don't want to hear that, but I think it's very true that when we take things for granted, then we start granting things that we don't want to see happen.
Ooh, did you hear that, Dree?
Nope.
When we take
He did.
things
He
for granted, what
start
else
grant.
did you say?
He started granting things to happen.
Then you start granting things to happen.
Roll it up, roll it back.
Mm. You just spit some game, Andrea.
Yeah.
Yeah,
There
that's
will
what
always
happened.
be some, Nisa says there will always be some residue on any plate.
Yeah, no matter how hard you wash it, no how you wash it, once you touch it, that plate is always
Mhm.
going to be dirty. I don't care what they
Yeah.
say. Again, I was watching
Mhm.
the show today, and the lady was complaining at the restaurant the dishwasher didn't come in today, so she had to wash the dishes. Again, because they're always going to be dirty, and you want them to be as clean as they can. But all they can promise you when you get that Palmolive dish detergent or whatever it is, it's 99.99% clean. There's
Mm.
still dirt on it, no matter how hard. So
Yeah,
That's true.
yeah.
So,
yeah.
it just depends, like I said, on the situation. So just getting people to understand, like, you can forgive, but, are you going to erase things? Or are you going to relive those things and get flashbacks, as you
Mhm.
love to say, Dr. Nat? Having a flashback, you're having a flashback, you're having a flashback.
Yeah. Mm. Well,
Mhm.
and I think often people don't realize, the flashbacks are just opportunities for your mind to re-anchor itself. The mind is very afraid of new things. And so whenever it can,
Yeah, he froze a little bit.
He's frozen.
Yeah. So
He's
I'll finish
doing
his,
he's doing the hissy mouth.
I'll finish his thought.
I'm
What?
sorry, what am I doing?
You
You were
froze,
doing
so I was going to
Okay.
finish your thought for you.
Go ahead, please do.
frozen.
No, go ahead. You could just go ahead.
Oh, it says my
Yeah.
internet is unstable. So maybe it said Nat is unstable, but
You were talking about anchoring.
yeah, that's often why people repeat themselves. Is the mind is soothing itself by saying, "Do not become alarmed. I'm gonna show you that this is a routine." There are some people I know. No one on this podcast tonight, but there are some people that if I say, you know what, I rode a blue bicycle on a Tuesday and Thursday of weeks when I was in childhood, you know what they did? They also rode a bicycle on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I don't know how it happened.
It just happens. Some
Yeah.
people are like that. They've done it before you. That happens a lot.
Whatever it is. I mean, it's just
Yeah, they've
amazing.
done it first.
But that's just, I realize that's just their very small, mind just trying to remind itself
Oh,
to not be
shoot.
scared
Mhm.
that it's gonna be okay.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So just, just the mind is what do they say? A mind is a terrible thing to
Waste.
waste, but also it's a terrible thing to manipulate. Yeah.
Mhm.
Exactly. So let's see if anybody has any questions.
Let's
Maybe
we have
Prince.
our frequent flyer, Francine, so we can ask her to share the thoughts that she has, and we can promote her to a panelist so we can see her dimples.
Mhm. Mhm.
I don't think she has any, but we can look.
Why you say that then?
I thought if I said it, it'll make it happen.
Did she leave? All right.
No, she's there, but open your mic, Francine.
A lot of these people are sitting there in their birthday suits watching this show, so they have to get ready.
Christina,
Hi,
you dressed.
Francine.
Hi guys, it's good to see you
Hi.
guys.
Good to see you too.
Good to be seen.
It's really a pleasure when I get to see my boss interact with
Real
regular
people.
stuff instead of always business. So
Exactly.
that's good. But I liked what you said about
Buffet.
the
Okay.
when you said people are was it gauging? You
Grant,
said
taken for granted.
right,
then-
the granted that was deep. And can you just say that over again, Dr. Williams? Because I need to write that down. When you said people taken for granted and then they become
They grant things.
the grant things to be taken.
They grant things.
Grant
People
things,
taken for
okay.
granted grant things to be taken. Oh man,
And then
I
they
need
get
a
up,
t-shirt.
and then they get upset when that happens. But again, you open that door, and so and I think that some people would argue, like, why would I have to be in a relationship? We're supposed to love each other. Why do I have to be on the warpath and worry about this person and that person? Well, maybe eventually you won't, but I wouldn't give that carte blanche day one. I wouldn't say, hey,
right.
give myself away on day one because you don't know this person. And some people would argue, I've dealt with people that have been married long periods of time, and they still will tell you, I've been married 34 years, and I still don't know who this guy is.
Right. And the thing about what I find, you can't go backwards. Like, I've dated this guy in the past, and then he's like, "Oh, we should get together," and I'm like, no, because it's not gonna work."
Well, let me ask you this
Because
question. Let me ask you the counter that people change and they grow. So maybe this person, 10 years later is a different person, learned more, knows more. They're not the same person dated 10 years ago. So how do you just dismiss them because you
well,
went down?
no,
Go ahead.
what I did is, I started a courageous conversation to see. I know where we left off, but I guess he's been with other people and different experiences and might have got confused from where he left off with me. So when I start engaging and asking him questions, it took me back to where we were before.
Mhm.
So there really
So
wasn't
I
there
knew
really
that it
wasn't
was
much of
that
okay. The date changed, but he didn't.
right.
Right.
But he tried to pretend he wanted me to accept this new person. And I'm like, I'm not falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Because you when you go back to something that you had before, it's gonna taste the same. Everything is gonna be the same. So what's gonna make it fresh and new?
Okay.
It was like
What if he
two steps
asks
back.
Francine? What if he asks you that question? The calendar change. How has Francine changed?
Well, I know from just dealing with him had made me more aware of being more considerate to the next person, like
Okay.
being more um
Like
just
acknowledging a person's feelings.
yeah, to acknowledge and that my feelings count. Because if I'm not happy, nobody's gonna be happy.
How did he,
So you
how did
shouldn't
he,
try. I shouldn't
how did
have to
he,
try
how did he
and
teach
make
you? How did he
the
teach you that?
relationship work.
Yeah,
It should
that was
just,
my
How did
next
that,
huh?
question.
how did that
I'm sorry, I
relationship,
didn't hear.
how did his relationship teach you that?
Because of his nonchalant uh being obnoxious and
Hmm.
telling untruths when it didn't make a difference.
Wow.
Like this, and that was like, just be honest.
What did you pick this guy up?
Because honesty is the huh.
What did you pick this guy up?
In New York, matter of fact. And I'm
That's
like, people in
say
it
no
was
more.
like a Ralph Cramden episode
Really?
with me and him, because it started out and I tried to be open-minded, but by the end of it, it was turned toxic. And I was like, I felt like he was Ralph Cramden's mother-in-law. He started out
Mm,
being nice, and then by the end, you're a blabbermouth.
mm,
So it was
Hmm.
too toxic for me, and I couldn't play the pretend game. And it was, you can't, like, his whole thing was, well, we'll do this. It was always doing extravagant stuff, and
mm,
I wasn't impressed with that, because
mm.
I'd rather have you being honest and truthful. And we don't really have to go to the moon and back. We could chill and watch Netflix or whatever. But he wanted to be extravagant to make up
That,
for his.
you know what? You
Oh.
started the Netflix and chills. That was you that started that. Oh, wow. Who knew?
Hmm.
Wow.
I like that. Netflix and chill. I like that too. Yeah,
But
Okay.
I'm
just
saying, how people try to pull you in with the, extravagant this, and it wasn't impressing me, because
right.
I wanted to see the real you, and it was all,
Masking.
he was just perpetrating.
Hmm.
I think people realize, I think that materials make them matter.
Mm.
And
And that's not good.
you're looking for a mate.
I mean, it's nice to do nice things
Yes,
for a person, but when that's all you do, you're making up for something
that you're
that you
lacking in.
trying to cover up with.
Yeah, a
You know what
mask.
I'm saying? Like, people, you get flowers, you get chocolate, you get, things like that. But when somebody's always trying to surprise, and then it's like, well, what are you making up for?
So let me ask
Your
you a question.
shortcomings.
Let me ask you a question, Francine. If someone said to you, I want to understand about relationships, and I want to understand this part. When is the time in my life that I'm going to meet the most amount of single people? Well, if they ask you that question, Francine, when would you tell them that the time in their life that they're going to meet the most single people?
Um, I would say between 40 and 50.
No.
No.
You're going to meet the
I
most
was thinking 20 to
no,
30.
you're going to meet the most single people in high school.
Oh,
And if,
17.
Oh, wow.
and if you go to college, that's going to be the highest number of single people you're going to be around.
Mm.
Wow.
After that,
Don't take me a class in Northampton County, Northampton Community College, right up the street. Let me go see what I can do over there. Oh my gosh.
that's an
That's really
that's
but
an
it makes sense.
yeah, but I think that's an example of what people don't know, that the reality is they're trying at 40 and 50 trying to get somebody, but the amount of single people at that particular point has been diminished. And also the other challenge you have, you're not in you're at those ages, you're circulating in a lot of different places. You're going places and doing stuff. When you're 40 and 50, you're
You
going
going
home
to bed.
to work, to home, to work. You're not circulating, and then you're looking for someone, and the only the person's going to get to you is by breaking in your house.
Mhm.
So
Mm.
again, I don't think people realize it's the design and that you're making yourself dizzy by the design. You're trying to achieve something that it's not logical that it's going to happen until you put yourself, you have to say to yourself, I have to put myself at a circulation level of when I was in high school, but I'm still mathematically going to be at a disadvantage because I may be single, but a lot of these other people are not.
Mhm.
True.
See, in high
True.
school, everybody was single, and lots of times in college, everybody is. You go on a college campus and maybe 8,000 students. You ask how many people are married. You may have 50 out of the 8,000 that are married, but all the other people are fully available.
Mm.
But again,
That's true.
only 30%, 50% of Americans try college. Only 30% graduate. So a lot of those the 20% go for a semester or two and they back out.
Mm.
So again, 50% don't even put themselves in a situation where they're around that many single people. And so again, a lot of times minorities are not going off to institutions of higher education, but they're wanting all those things that could go on there. But it's not available. So I think that sometimes people are also hard on themselves. Like, why is it so difficult for me to find someone? It's a lot about the environment. You're not in the environment, and you're also approaching the environment later in life. Because even like if, as Cheryl said, you go to Northampton Community College at your age, a lot of times the people taking the classes that you're taking are married people. So,
Mhm.
yes, you're
Or,
in the college,
or
but unless
really
you're
young.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah, all right, right, and yeah, that's the other piece, right? The age gap is like you're sitting there and you're going to school with your kids, and you want to
Mhm.
and you're in the back of the classroom wanting to smack all of them in the head, like oh, you're all like dating any of them is not anything on the agenda. That's the last thing you want to do with any of those.
Exactly. Mhm.
That's
But I
true.
think so often we just have to put ourselves in a situation where it's winnable. I think a lot of times we're putting ourselves in a situation where it's really hard to win.
Mm.
So we have to really start thinking about, where are these people that I'm looking, where are these opportunities, where are these relationships that I'm looking for, and that people are healthy and they're not damaged, they're not all coming together, because of their situation. An example is I'm on actually on a cruise ship, and the people on this a group on this is a group of knitters.
Hmm.
It's all women, and they're all single women. I don't know what I think knitting will result in the early death of your husband because all of these all these I don't know what they made. They take the the needle and but they're like there's like 50 of them, and
Mm.
how are you and how oh my husband died 2 years ago, my husband died 20 years ago, and I'm like, is any of you have any husbands? So I think that often when we get older, we develop these groups, but sometimes those groups that we belong to are more isolating than they are. Okay, I mean these guys they're a bunch on this cruise ship, but if they were looking for a relationship, this is not the cruise for them.
Mm.
Now, I have one of my no, middle sons with me, and he was like, I don't think people realize the average age of people on this boat is 63.
Mm.
So he's like, my wife had asked him, well, did you meet anybody? And he was like, the comedian told us that the average age is 63. And, I think there's like maybe, 3,000 people on this boat, but there's about maybe 10 people that look like me. So again, we put
Mm.
ourselves in a situation, oh, I'm going to go on a cruise, I'm going to do this. Well, you can have knitters and then 63-year-old people and a comedian that really isn't funny. So good luck, have a good time. And we're giving a week of our life to this wonderful experience. So, but I'm not, I should make it very clear in case my wife is watching, I'm not on the cruise looking for anybody. But if you was, this is
That's
not the
right. Be
cruise.
clear.
This is not the cruise to find anybody. Yeah, I can tell you. And Jared's here watching me. Uh,
Oh,
the funny
right.
thing is, you met
That's his mama.
we
Mhm.
met sisters on the first night, and I don't know, they just turned into huggers. So we had maybe a 15-minute conversation, but every time I see her and her sister, has to go up and hug me and hi, how are you doing? And just to make Jared miserable, we had dinner with him the second night.
Oh my gosh. I would have died.
You wouldn't have dreamed.
I've tried to get him to go back to dinner. He's like, no. He's like, but again, he's going to find someone. Stay off Celebrity Eclipse. This is not the ship for you.
Need Carnival.
Yeah,
Right,
Carnival.
Everybody. I'm not a big fan of Carnival, but maybe for him that's the boat to go on.
Carnival for Jared. He would love it.
So maybe we'll get them as a sponsor for the show starting next week. We'll see. All right, ladies and
Dr.
gentlemen.
Williams, can I ask you a question?
Yes, please. Yes, Francine.
Do you think that it's feasible to go on the websites?
I think that what you have the problem with that is social media is advertising all the good points of people. And that's the problem with it. It's not giving you a full story. And so if you're going to do that, you have to be prepared to pick up the part of the story that they're not including. And so that's the downside of it. I think that the way the platforms are set out, they're really not asking the right questions. And people are filling them in with all the glorified information. So that's they'll take their best picture. See, if I was running social media or a dating site, I want 12 pictures over the last 12 years. I don't want the best picture you have over, because again, a lot of times people show up and they're like, this is not who I want the picture date stamped. So I guess, I would have one person sign up for my dating site if I was doing it. So I think that's the downside of it, Francine, is that, it really isn't giving you. So you have to understand that often a person is on there because they don't want to share the full story. A lot of times you'll start talking with them and you start asking them questions and they don't want to answer the questions. Well, look at this site where they came from. They came from a site where they were incognito. And they were hiding out, and they don't put, so again, the way you start often is going to be the way you finish, because you started from a disingenuous standpoint. You're gonna often finish from there. So that's the challenge with it. I mean, you hear some success stories that happen where people are able to find, someone through that, but I think the likelihood is somewhat diminished because it's not often. You're getting
it's far and few with them. And then I start pulling out my book, and I start asking about different things, and that's just like it blows everything to gives it,
You start asking
like
them,
molding them.
You start asking like, what's going on in your spirituality? What's going on in your finances? What's going on with your family and friends? You're like, oh, you want to get with me and you want to be all tight with me, but you have a daughter that you haven't spoke to in 22 years. Like,
Exactly.
What's that about? And you have I don't talk to my mother because she borrowed money from me and never gave it back. Well, I think she gave you life. So I don't know what with the $250 that she borrowed from you. But again, so I think when you start, as you said, Francine, when you start asking questions of people, you start realizing, oh boy. And I think that's why a lot of times people say, "Oh, I'm not going to ask any questions the first couple of dates. We're just going to." My thing is, here's the list of 25 questions I have. Answer them, before we get together, and then we'll take it. We'll take it from there. But this, you're also talking to a guy that's, been married for 21 years. So what do I know?
But you know a lot because you're
a lot, Dr. Williams. Don't try it. Don't downplay.
Don't downplay. All right, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, guys.
As always.
It's a pleasure.
Thank
you so much.
Welcome.
Francine. I call you Christine.
That's okay.
Francine Farrell.
She's been called.
I appreciate being part of the panel.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening. Okay,
you as
guys.
well.
Okay.
All right, so as we get ready to wrap up, I think I just booted Francine accidentally from the show altogether. As we get ready to wrap up, Andrea, Cheryl, what are your closing thoughts, things you want to leave people with as we wrap up tonight's show?
Makeover, do over. Either one, you both must be on the same page. Talk it out, try to get through it, but don't forget how you got there, because you may see it again.
Mhm.
I'm gonna piggyback off of Cheryl. I do believe just try to be positive and look towards maybe resolving an issue, whether you're gonna make it over or you're just gonna do a whole new clean slate, but just try to resolve things as best as you can.
Good. And Audrey, as you normally do, you do our reminder.
Yeah.
I forgot to put up our slides, so you're gonna have to just, tell people
So
the
as
number.
always, like, subscribe, comment, two sisters and
Share,
a brother.
share.
If you look at our previous podcast, you'll see our email addresses are up there. But definitely you can hit us up on Cash App as well if you want to see more of the content that we're putting forth. And come on the show next week. And we'd love to have you as a guest.
Very good.
Absolutely.
Thank you all for joining and sharing in, and hopefully this information is useful. We'll be back next Thursday at 8 p.m. Look forward to seeing